A better way to pay your UTG fees with instant proof of payment and real-time student portal update. Paying your University of the Gambia fees has never been easier or more convenient. With EcoBank, students, parents and guardians can pay UTG tuition and related fees through our secure digital banking channels such as EcoBank mobile app, EcoBank Online and EcoBank Omni Lite. Once payment is completed, instant proof of payment is generated and the UTG student portal is updated in real time, allowing students to proceed immediately with registration, course selection, and clearance without unnecessary delays, while giving parents and guardians peace of mind that payments have been successfully processed. How to pay via the EcoBank mobile app. Open the EcoBank mobile app and navigate to the home screen. Select Pay Bill. Choose Pay a New Bill and select Schools from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. How to pay via EcoBank Online or Omni Lite. Log in to EcoBank Online and Omni Lite using your credentials. Select the menu and choose Bill Payments. Choose Quick Bill Pay and select School from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Walk into any EcoBank branch or pay through our digital channels and enjoy instant proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Santa yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay nag doo ci yokk dara.
Jar Oil Company stands tall as a trusted name in energy, keeping the Gambia moving with service stations across the country and a commitment to innovation and reliability. In Farafenni, Jar Group is reshaping our industrial landscape. The Jar Oil Cement Factory can produce up to 100,000 bags a day, reducing imports, creating jobs, and building a stronger Gambia brick by brick. And in the heart of the Central River region, Jar Farming Initiative is cultivating food security. With thousands of hectares under development and modern irrigation, Jar Farming is turning the Gambia's soil into abundance. Jar Group is more than a company. It is a vision of self-sufficiency, resilience, and progress. The Jar Group of companies, investing in industry, agriculture, and energy, building the Gambia's future today. We turn to Parliament. Honorable Alhagie Mbowe, National Assembly for Upper Saloum, a prominent voice in the Pan-African Parliament, has just joined us. Why? With the National Reconciliation Party, some call it Party Hamad Babi, in coalition since 2017, has anything changed in their support for President Barrow as the 2026 elections approach? And as corruption continues to dog this administration, the Barrow administration, I'll want to know how Parliament is confronting one of the country's most persistent challenges. Honorable Mbowe, my Goro. I just said it in the previous hour.
Exactly.
Welcome to Coffee Time with Peter Gomez. You know, there was a time when you were almost becoming a regular,
yes,
part of the furniture.
Yes.
And then suddenly you disappeared.
Yes.
Explain your disappearance.
Actually, I went, and thank you very much, Peter, for having me once again. And I want to say good morning to all the listeners in the Gambia and across the world. Yes, you are quite right.
That's how long ago you were last year. Because when you were here, we only addressed our audience as listeners.
Exactly.
But we have since graduated.
Exactly. So we
now have viewers as well.
Exactly. So really, that's really excellent. And again, it shows really where we are going as a country. We need to really improve where we are, and for the betterment of everybody. Yes, I've been away because I took a little bit of, do I call it sabbatical? I don't know. Yeah. But I went back to school. I went back to law school. Oh. I just wanted to add that to my degree in computer science and stuff. So for the last 2 years, actually, I've been very, very, very busy at the University of the Gambia.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And it's one of the decisions that I never regretted. Now I have only like few more classes to go, and then I'm
become a lawyer.
Yes.
A certified lawyer.
Yes, and the interesting part is because I was a former lecturer also, part-time lecturer of the university in the computer science department, and now I went back as a student again. So now a lecturer turning to be a student as well. So that's life.
How did that affect your fees? Did you get any discounts for?
No, actually, I'm paying fully, and I'm also paying for additional students actually as well. Yeah, because I've been supporting the students not only at UTG but also at Gambia College and other institutions from my own pocket. And again, also, I must say this also that the Professor Per Gomez also has really also assisted a lot of students. Because sometimes, because I'm in there, so I know exactly what's happening. So sometimes when I see some students that are in distress because of they cannot pay, so I approach and I said, hey, Prof, can you help this person? So we look at the results, we look at the grades, we look at the performance of the person, and Per said, okay, give me time, and I must be very thankful to him as well, because he has helped a lot of students that I personally know that they are really struggling.
Maybe that is having an impact on, paying the allowances of foreign students, because he knows that the foreign students are agitating at this point in time, because their allowances almost always, arrive late. Anyway, that's for him to deal with. Let's talk about your party, the National Reconciliation Party, NRP. You've been in this coalition since 2017, and as we approach the 2026 elections, has anything changed in your party's support for Adama Barrow, or are you still firmly aligned with him?
Yeah. Actually, with the National Reconciliation Party, nothing actually has changed. If anything, I can say that we are as solid as ever. Now, with us, the way we do things, because of this coalition was not the first time. If you go back to history, NRP actually was in coalition before with UDP. We've also had coalition before with DOE as well. And all the time, what we see is the country itself. And that's the reason why we always have our own strategy, where we work together as Gambians and, form a formidable force. And that has not changed in 2017 when we go back and then have a coalition with the ruling government. And today, in fact, is stronger than before. Because for one thing, the coalition, I would call it madness to change a winning formula. That's total madness. We have a winning formula in Barrow.
I tell you what, yeah. Liverpool knows that.
Yes, exactly. You see,
Liverpool knows that.
Exactly.
Yeah. We won the championship with a team, dismembered the team.
I see what happened.
And
I'm a Chelsea supporter as well. And you see what happened. The same thing happened to Chelsea also.
For you.
Exactly. So that's it. So when you have a winning formula, you can do a tweak here and there, but you just don't want to change in totality. And that's the reason why NRP is still very solid, is still very consistent in supporting President Adama Barrow in this coming elections. But again, I must say, like the party leader said, that doesn't mean that NRP is not interested in the leadership of this country. It doesn't mean that. But right now, we have a winning formula, and we have a winning candidate that is going to the hearts of the people. That's why we stick with him.
I know when your leader said something along those lines, it was misconstrued.
Exactly,
in many quarters.
Yeah, it does. But you see, the fact is the fact. Adama Barrow will not be there forever. And NRP has been in existence before Adama Barrow's party. In fact, more than 2 decades we have been in existence. Now, when you are in existence and you have a strategy, that's where you want to go. But again, along the lines, whenever you see that things can change for the betterment of the party, you go for it, and that's exactly what NRP has done. But again, like I said, it does not mean that NRP is not interested in the leadership of this country. We are fully interested, but at this point in time, all our focus is to support His Excellency President Adama Barrow.
Hamad, for some reason, We are very good friends.
Yes.
But getting him onto coffee time has been an impossibility so far.
I'll try. I'll try so that he can come.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure he's listening and having a good laugh, by the way. And I should say that every time he travels, when he comes back, he brings me coffee. So good. I expect that from his recent trip, I'll be getting coffee very soon. But let us in on the structure of the party. Because as I said, Hamad is not here to put the question to him. And you've just said something that could also relate to Hamad. Adama Barrow will not be there forever. Neither will Hamad Ba be there forever. So what's the structure now within the NRP?
Now, the structure has been really the same in terms of the constitution of the party. However, since last year, we've gone on on a strategy to revive the constitution and also to integrate more of the youth.
Revive or revise?
Revise.
Okay,
to revise the constitution. In fact, I was given the task to take a look at the constitution in totality, having looked at various political parties across the world that actually has shown a lot of improvements. And I've done that. The first draft, I can say even the second draft is actually ready. And you'll see that it's completely different because right now we're going to integrate a lot of youth focus, also students as well as women. Oh. Because if you look at the constitution of the party, we're talking about almost like 3 decades ago. For me, I think it has past its usefulness right now because things actually have changed. And that's the reason why the party leader last year and year before has asked us that let's take a look at it and then revise it to ensure that it passes the test of time.
He initiated it?
Yes, he initiated it.
It was not you younger ones,
no.
ambitious for leadership?
He initiated it and asked us to...
It's not like you're planning a palace coup?
No, never.
Hamad, that's a hell.
Yes, thank you. And again, we are professionals and we are too decent for that. And the thing is, we tell the way it is. And it's not like whatever Hamad says, we agree with him. No. Sometimes in a meeting, sometimes in his office, we have heated debates about things that he agrees with. We say, we don't agree with this. Me, Samba Jallo, or Honorable Seni, among others, we say we disagree. But these are things that is in-house, that we don't go to take it to the public. Okay. And that's the reason why NRP sometimes you don't hear that much noise outside, maybe in the
people
parliament.
People don't hear you at all.
Exactly.
The only person people hear is Hamad.
Hamad, exactly.
So people think that NRP is a one-man show, exactly. Hamad and only Hamad.
Which in fact it is not. NRP is not a one-man show. You see, when we go to the parliament, Hamad doesn't decide what we say. Hamad doesn't decide what we do in the parliament. We go all on our own ways. We look at what is best interest for the country, and we go with that. And that's the reason why sometimes people say, oh, NRP voted this way. Has nothing to do with Hamad at all. Completely.
Okay. And does he support everything you say, or do you get a call whenever you've gone, one way that people didn't expect the NRP to go? Does Ahmad call you to say, Alhagie Tainak?
No. Actually, Ahmad doesn't follow us as members of NRP in the parliament that much. In fact, sometimes he just read it from the newspaper. Mbowe has voted this way, or Honorable Sambajal has voted, or Honorable Sinejawar has said this. And in fact, he doesn't bother himself because he knew, for one thing, we all swore to the Quran to do our job without fear or ill will. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. So he doesn't bother. And that's the first thing he told us. In 2017, when we went to Parliament, he was a parliamentarian before. He knows how things actually work. And he told us very clear terms, whatever you do, go with the best interest of the nation. And that's the reason when people say Hamad Baya's MPs, sometimes it just makes me laugh because of Hamad does not interfere with our work in the parliament. He doesn't even know what position I form. And that's the reason why also sometimes NRP, members of parliament, we vote different ways, for example. Sometimes you see me voting in this way, you see Honorable Sambajalo or Sieni or Amadou will vote completely different.
Okay.
But because of the fact that we sit in the same area, and sometimes you see us, if you watch clearly on the TV, you see me turning my back to them, we're talking, So for us, it's not like we come with a position.
So you could be seen to be consulting in Parliament, yes. But when it comes to a vote, you can vote different ways.
Very different ways. Very different ways. And in fact, and that's the reason why sometimes you see I'm voting this way, somebody will vote different way, and sometimes it just changes. But that's the way NRP is. We don't come with a unified position in Parliament to vote a particular way. No. Everyone goes with their own conscience, and you, based on what you understand, based on your research, because we do a lot of research, that's the given, and we come. And sometimes we agree we have a common ground, but sometimes we have very different groups. Yeah.
And what about party growth? At what rate are you growing, if the party is growing at all? And what about inclusion? I mean, you have 4 members of parliament?
Yes.
And all of you are men. Where are the women? The leader is a man. So is this a party where, women can feel that they belong?
Yes. In fact, you are right. Yes, they belong. And that's the reason, one of the reasons why we said let's go and revise our constitution so that we can place women rightfully across it. You realize that in the new, constitution of the NRP, which I don't want to discuss in detail because it's yet to be approved by the membership. You're going to realize that, in fact, for every let's say constituency or every kind of election, we give also women to be able to participate. We support them to be able to participate. And that's the reason why we've participated women in the local government as well. But as far as parliamentary is concerned, we didn't do that. Because parliamentary, we are very strategic in the parliament because we can put a candidate in every constituency. But NRP respects agreements. We do. Consistently respect agreements. And that's the reason why we don't put candidates all over. We are very strategic. We put it on 5. But if there was no agreement, for example, NRP has the power to put in every constituency across the Gambia here. And that time we're going to have more ladies. But because of the strategy we are using to ensure that we maintain our base in the Saloum, our base in the Nyaminas and other places, we really very, very consistent in those areas. But with this new revised constitution, which I hope will be implemented before the end of this year, women and youth in general will be given its due course. Because right now the youth have a rightful place. But we're going to move to the next stage, which is to ensure that women actually take their rightful place in the party.
Mm-hmm. And the UDP claims it's the biggest single party in the country. Unite says by September they will take over from the UDP and become the single largest party in the country. How big is the NRP?
Peter, I can tell you one thing. If you are looking for a party that is very consistent in terms of maintaining their base, don't go beyond NRP. That's a fact. You can go online and do a research. What happened is NRP is not in the business of putting the candidate everywhere. Had it been that there was no agreement and we put a candidate everywhere, you will see more members of parliament in the NRP. You will see more people in the local governments than anyone else. But because of the fact that we have an agreement with our other party, with a coalition, NRP respects that. But even here in the Combos, NRP has a very good support, particularly in the West Coast region that we have. We have our offices in Brikama. We also have in the KMC area here in Cow Johnson. So we are really very consistent. But because of the agreement we have, you will see. In fact, if you go back and check when NRP led the coalition, when we had a coalition with the other parties like Doy and stuff, look at the numbers NRP as Hamad Bah has scored. Look at the numbers at that time. It was really extremely high. So you see that we still have a base that we work with. But because of the fact that we are restrained by the fact that we have an agreement, and NRP is one party that I can consistently tell you they respect agreement when they have that with political parties. We are very consistent and we respect agreements. Okay. Yeah.
So you're saying that if you were to challenge in the West Coast and Combo areas, you would do so competitively?
Very, very competitive. That's what I can guarantee you. Okay. Because we have, in fact, for me, most of my family members, they are here in the West Coast. That's where they stay. My brothers, my uncles, that's exactly where they stay. And my goros, exactly there. So you know what it is. So they are here in the West, particularly in Serekunda West. We know they are all over here. Like, if you look at all my goros, for example, they are here. In the Kotus, in the Kololis, you go to London corners, exactly, they're all over the place. And I'm certain that if their goros to stand up and say, you know what, this is what we want, of course they will support. I can guarantee.
Are you planning to take over from Hamad when he moves on eventually? And who knows? Do you have presidential ambitions?
Actually, any peace should have that ambition, particularly when you know that you are in a position where you can actually contribute immensely, not only in your local area or not only in your regional area, but at the level of the country. Of course, at this point in time, Hamad Bah is the party leader. But again, Hamad will not be there forever, like I told you earlier. Like I said, Barrow will not be there forever. But that's the reason why we are revising our constitution to ensure that we have you have a plan. We call it succession planning. That is actually in the picture, and Honorable Hamad Bah has been very consistent to ensure that we prepare people, not only me, not only Samba Diallo, not only Seni, and we have others like Ngui Seka from Farafenni, not only those people. So we have a very consistent plan where by the time we finish with this new revised constitution, you realize actually we have a very clear succession planning in case Hamad is no longer there. Somebody else you can come in and then just take the mantle. We move because of NRP is a party, like I said in Wolof, Lukos Tasuko.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I mean, you said that very clearly. You're very strategic in your election approach because of your agreement with the NPP and the others in the alliance.
Yes.
You don't put up a candidate everywhere. Yeah. Are you equally strategic in welcoming members? Do you go for certain people? You are very computer literate now. You're becoming a lawyer. I am so. Samba also has his own qualification.
Yes.
Are you strategic in how you choose members, and especially members that you task with responsibilities in the party?
Yes. In fact, in 2025, actually, we have some very high prominent people business. I'm talking about businessmen that actually has joined because they were looking for a party to join. They are very young actually. They are all under under 35, and in fact, Amadi referred them to me. They came. And we chat, and then I try to understand really what they're thinking in terms of the political landscape of the Gambia. And I think we were able to align together. And as we speak right now, we are working very closely with them, those people there. And they are young Gambians. Now, another also aspect is also one of my opponents in the last election. That's the local government. It's a young and very dynamic. I'm sure you know the Cherno Gay at the UTG. Actually has also joined us in full force to support what we do. So you realize that, and as recent as a few weeks ago, we have some students from the university that formed the student wing of the NRP. In fact, last week they were doing a meeting with the party at the headquarters, but I was away in Saloum. So you realize that in as much as we are trying to stay relevant in the long run, we are also doing our own strategic things in terms of attracting people to come to join in NRP in what we do. So that's not only about the young generation, but also we know the future lies in the young generation, and we think as NRP the future is now, and that's the reason why we are starting now to ensure that we engage them, to ensure that we all work together for the benefit of the country.
Honorable Alhagie Mbowe, member for Upper Saloum, is a guest this morning. He's also a member of the Pan-African Parliament. For the first time, the National Assembly's accounts have been audited separately from central government. Issues have been raised, particularly around the Constituency Development Fund. How serious are these concerns, and what reforms do you think Parliament needs to adopt?
Yes, thank you, Peter. Yes, I think the National Assembly, for the first time, they have their accounts audited separately from central government. And, it's kind of like we police people, so we also need to be policed. As a member of the authority, which is the governing board of the parliament, I'm one of the 5 members, including the speaker and the clerk. When parliament gained, I wouldn't call it independence, because parliament has been independent, but because of now we are autonomous in 2021. So our first audited account is 2022, when we said, okay, this, the Auditor General does it separately, and they've raised some issues. And I think there are also concerns, because for me, I generally believe the issues of audit, when they form opinions on your accounts, or when they form opinions on your activities or processes, I think this is something worth listening. I know I'll get it beaten, but an audit in general is just an opinion. That's a fact. It's an opinion on something. See, the Auditor General or the auditor don't prepare your accounts. You prepare your own accounts, and you submit to the auditor to look at. And the auditor will form an opinion on what you have submitted. And that's exactly why they said an audit is an opinion. It's a fact. Because the opinion an auditor may have on this particular account, a different auditor may come and have a different opinion on it. So that's why I said an audit. So it doesn't mean that, it's just opinion. No, it's not like that. But in essence, it's what you feel has been presented to you, whether it follows the laws, it follows the legal framework, or also is in line with best practices. Now, in the parliament, yes, one of the major issues, I can say 90% of the issues raised has something to do with the CDF, which is the Constituency Development Fund. And the Constituency Development Fund is managed by the clerk of the parliament. Not a penny is given to the member of parliament. The member of parliament only submits a form detailing the small project that they want to do in your constituency, and the rest is done by the clerk. In fact, I can tell you most members of parliament do not even know the vendor that is doing the work in their constituency. You only know when they call you to sign that this is done, whatever. That's the only time you know. But in terms of the payment, in terms of how much it costs, whatever. But the only thing you know is the amount is within 500,000. Some members go up to around that amount, but some members actually are less. So the issue there is along the issues of documentation. When you talk about documentation, actually it's important to do an audit trail. Because without proper documentation, to have an audit trail is very difficult. And again, when the auditor comes and asks you for a document and you are unable to produce, or you produce it but maybe it did not go through a particular process, they will query it. And one of the queries was like, some of the invoices was not authorized by the clerk. Now, that doesn't mean that the clerk did not know what was happening. No. When somebody gives an invoice, it's a process, internal process that, you look at the invoice and then you put a signature or initial that, I've received this, and it goes through the particular process. Because the clerk is the vote control of the parliament, which means every single payment that goes through the parliament, the clerk is aware. So clerk not making an initial on an invoice does not necessarily mean that there was fraud. it doesn't mean that there was wastage. It doesn't mean that it hasn't gone through the right process. Maybe he may have forgotten, or maybe during, because it's a bunch. You're talking about 53 members, and you get 3 quotations. You're talking about huge. So I read in one of the newspapers last week when they said that it was accounted for. No, that's inaccurate. It was accounted for. The only thing is, like, one of the processes where the clerk needs to initial was missing. That was the only thing. Okay. So the other one also is about the issue of you deliver a project, but the project is not being utilized. For example, some of these milling machines that we do, we have 2 or 3 constituencies. I think about 2 that the machines were delivered, but until after 1 year, the machines are still not used. So they said that's the waste of resources, which I tend to agree. But because of, again, when you look at, you take 300,000 or 500,000, you buy a machine for your community, and for 1 whole year, the community, you're not using it, the question becomes, did they really need it?
Exactly.
So that becomes the question.
Exactly.
But then we are aware that the issue is not whether they need it, but the issue is where do they put it? Because this is a community. Which village to put it? Whether they're going to put it in Panchang, they're going to put it in Jao, or they're going to put it. So that's some of the issues that are highlighted.
So where the machine is put is important?
Yes, it's important. And again, and that's the reason why we encourage, as a member of the authority, which is the governing council of the parliament, we always ensure that people really have the buy-in of the community. You see, projects are good, but the success of any project also depends on how people take it or how people accept it. So when you're going to do a project in a particular area, you need to ensure that people actually are in, they buy in that particular project. So when it comes to deliver, there's no issue. Because when you go to certain areas, for example, I give an example of Saloum, like labor, there are 5 in the same place. In fact, those 5, they are all within 1 kilometer radius. So I gave the machine to them. I said, we call all the alcalos, all the women groups in that area, said, this machine is meant for all of you. How are you going to structure your committee? How are you going to use it? Me, I'm not part of it. The only thing I said, if the machine breaks down, whatever money you guys generate, you go fix the machine, don't call me to fix the machine. So that's exactly how I do in Upper Saloum, but it's not the same that's happening in other places. And these are some of the issues that actually highlighted, among the other things where the issue of pricing, the machine, for example, you buy a machine 100,000 from this particular vendor, another vendor sells you 120,000. Of course, the auditors are right to query those issues because there's a big difference between 100,000 and 120,000. But the issue is, some of the machines, I prefer local made machines, made in Gambia. That's what I consistently buy. I don't like any imported milling machines. Okay. Now, the local made ones, of course, they are cheaper than the imported ones. Yes. And secondly, the ones I buy, they are 2-in-1 milling machines, and some of the imported ones are they can only do one process. So the prices will not be the same. Okay. So of course the auditors are right; they are correct to query. So again, we do have a lot of things.
So 2-in-1 would do what? Decorticate and
exactly
and grind.
like the wall of the city, of course, soha pare walk. Okay. So that's it. Okay. So that's exactly what. So those ones generally they are more expensive, and for me I prefer those ones because of our charity that we make. So but the other members may prefer So of course for me I totally agree with all the comments from the Auditor General. I agree and we accept. And the Parliament, through the clerk, will ensure that we put some other process in place to ensure that we rectify those issues.
But what about this arrangement where the clerk controls the Constituency Development Fund? When Upper Saloum more than any clerk,
But don't forget, the clerk comes from Upper Saloum also.
Oh, does he? Okay, just by coincidence.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. So it's okay. No, the only thing.
So why would he control the Constituency Development Fund for my National Assembly member Musa Cham, for instance?
Exactly. See, the Public Finance Act actually, creates this mechanism where you have the vote controller. So every budget entity, be the Parliament, be the Judiciary, the Minister of Finance, be the Minister of Interior, whatever, they have a vote control, meaning the head of the accounts, I call it the head of the account, but the one responsible to sign, to authorize payment. Okay. So that's exactly what the clerk doesn't do anything more than just authorize payment. The identification of the project is the responsibility of the member. The clerk doesn't even know what you put in there. So the member for Serekunda may decide to do something maybe to fix something along Janjang Road or to fix something along, Serekunda Market. But the clerk doesn't decide. But we have a policy on CDF, what kind of things that you can do, small projects, to ensure that it's within the amount. And we also try to stay away from construction work because the construction work involves a lot of stuff, like in terms of the BOQ, and sometimes let's say to fence a football field. and 500,000 cannot fence a football field. Proper football field cannot do that.
Yeah,
so so the clerk may say, honorable member, why can't you look at something else? If it is to complete a football field, yes, they can do a BOQ, and if the BOQ is able to accommodate, they say it's fine. But just to start a fence in a football field, sometimes it may be difficult, and the clerk may say, my brother, why can't you look for another project? Because this one you started and will not be completed. So what do you do? So it may, I don't want to call it waste of money.
But it comes yearly, not so.
Exactly.
It comes yearly.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can start it, maybe if it does 25% of the field this year.
Yes.
Next year you do the other 25, and within 4 years you could complete.
Yeah, but by the time you finish, the blocks may be taken away as well. You know how it is. Sometimes. Yeah, but so the only interference of the clerk is to give an advice. But at the end of the day, it's the member that would have the ultimate, decision to decide what to do or what not to do. So the clerk just advises. He's our legal advisor. He's our advisor in general, and he's the vote controller. So once it goes through all the processes, then the clerk would go ahead and then pay. And the MP, before payment, the MP will agree, would confirm that this is delivered and as per the specification. And as we speak, we have some members that refuse to sign because of what they expected is not what is delivered, and the vendor will not be paid.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
interesting.
Exactly.
Interesting. So when you did you explain this to the auditors? Did they accept it?
Well, yes, we've explained, but again, sometimes, they may form a different opinion, and I said that, I accept their opinions, because they said that maybe perhaps something could have been done before we arrive at this conclusion, which is perfectly fine. Because if you're going to do a project, for example, in Nyomi, and you deliver a machine, and for 2 years the machine is not able to be used, did you do a need-based assessment? Exactly, yeah. So you realize that if that MP has done a need-based assessment, and maybe perhaps attach that to the form that is submitted, then maybe the auditor would have a different opinion. Absolutely. But if lacking, when those things actually lack, of course, they'll have their own opinion, which to them is the correct, but to us is completely different, but we respect their opinion.